This little video is going to show you guys how to grid your photographs so that you can get started on your portrait drawing. Everybody's going to be getting a photograph, and the hope is that it is almost as large as your paper so that you have a lot of your image to draw. You're going to have a blank sheet of paper that is approximately the same size. I'm going to show you how to grid that kind of keeps your border in mind. It'll be easier to measure that way. So the first thing you're going to want to do is figure out what the dimensions of your paper are. And I know that I've got an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper here. So I'm going to want to figure out what half of 8.5 inches is, and I know that that is 4 1/4, so I'm going to make a mark at 4 1/4 at the bottom, and I'm going to make a mark at 4 1/4 at the top. And when I grid, I want to make very light lines. I don't want my lines to be super duper dark because it is very hard to make them disappear. So if I draw the line wrong, I need to be able to erase it. So that's the reason for doing it very, very light. Now, to do the math in a really easy way, what I want to do is just divide that 4 1/4 in half. I know that's 2 1/8 inches. So if I just make a mark at 2 1/8, 2 1/8, 2 1/8, all the way across, then I've got the marks at the bottom to make. And then I'm going to connect those up. So 2 1/8 here, and then I'm going to make those connect. And if I get one wrong, I should see it looking like a bit of a diagonal line. And that's how I know that I have not done the correct measurement. Now, if I have the long side of my paper is 11 inches, half of that is what? Did you get 5 1/2? That's what I got. So 5 1/2 inches. I'm going to make a mark at the halfway point, 5 1/2 inches. And then I'm going to connect the dots once again. Nice light line. That should be going about halfway through. And then what is half of 5 1/2? Did you say 2 3/4? You are correct. So 2 3/4. I'm going to make a mark always going in the same direction. So I don't want to change direction. So if I'm going to make a mark on this side at 2 3/4, that's right there, and another one at 2 3/4 down here, then I will connect the dots, and I will have a grid that is in eighths, and that is going to be helpful because what I can do is just look at one small piece at a time and draw only what I see in that box. Now, I know that I only have to draw half of the photograph, so you can see that I also gridded the same on this side. So I went ahead and I made my halfway mark, just like I did on this photograph. They should be in the same spot. I did the horizontal line, that same spot in the center, and then I'm going to divide these up. I know that that was 2 1/8 going across. I don't want to switch to metric at this point. I'm going to keep it the same. So there's 2 1/8, and here's 2 1/8. Now I could grid the whole thing and draw the whole drawing. So if I have a smushed face portrait, I can start there. If I want to just do half, you can see on this what I did was I folded it in half right on the line, and I'm looking at either this side or this side. Now, as your art teacher, I need to request that you draw the most complicated side. So would that be this side, or would that be this side? You are correct. You're drawing this, and this half is going to be what you don't draw. So what I'm going to need you to do is look on your grid, and you are going to look at one box at a time, and you're going to be drawing just what you see happening in that box. So this box is going to happen right here. This box is going to be drawn right here. The second box over is going to be drawn right here. This box here, this box here. And what I recommend is that you just start drawing with an outline, I know that my hair looks like it's happening kind of right about here. I've got a little bit of hair kind of going wild up there towards the top. If I come down and look at this next box, I know that I've got my border is right about here. So I've got hair that's coming off the page. I've got kind of some wild hairs doing some things here. I've got an eyebrow that's coming over and meeting the side of my head. And the side of my head is coming down right about here and here. So I'm just going to start making those outlines so that I can figure out where all the parts are going to be. I don't want to get into a lot of detail. I'm not worried about it looking perfect yet. What I want is to just have some reference so that I can start putting the whole picture together. And here is some hair. You can see that I'm just going to keep going. All right, so once I get all of my outline done, then I'll be able to come back and watch the next video, which is looking at shading and blending.